Y'all want some content? Clone characters have always existed when it comes to the fighting games, all the way to Street Fighter, to all the way to Dragon Ball FighterZ of now. Some call them very different names, but all of them have served the same purpose. They tweak some moves from an already existing character to make a new one. A lot of people could have the argument that these types of characters are worthless and have no type of leverage to exist. But, in my opinion, as long as the character didn't take as long to make and has more moves that change besides one, then I would say it's pretty fine to have their inclusion. There's tons of examples of this going right in the scene of fighting games. There's Ken Masters, you know, the original, the OG. Then there's things like Order Soul, you know. I believe he's a worse version of the Soul in that game, but damn, he is dripped out. Like, he is like, come on, man, you gotta agree that he's dripped out. And also, there's Fukuwa, you know. There's she literally is just darker with green hair in some of this, but it's so funny. And then there's, you know, there's Armor King, you know, a lot of the things that take from the original King, but it's like more focused on other types of things like pins and something like that. And this is not even to just say that it's traditional fighters. For example, Platform Fighters has done this for a long time, specifically when it comes to Smash. Sure, there's a little other things like Rushdown Revolt, but we'll talk about it later. So, some have less than stellar showings, like Dark Pit and Richter, where it's like, there's like maybe 1 to 2 moves that are different, and maybe like the quote-unquote energy type is different, which may have an advantage against some people than others, but it's nobody really cares too much. Some of them though are better for the full display of what it means to be like a clone fighter. Like, you look at Dr. Mario and Ganon in Smash Ultimate now, and it's kind of like a completely different game. Like, you just do not have the advantages that the original characters have, so much so that you quite literally have to change the strategy. Like, you can't just fall on your speed and just keep hitting people with like up air compared to like the original Mario. And you simply can't just like play a footsie game with people when you come to Ganon. Sometimes you just gotta go in and just abuse your smash attacks, man. It is a completely different way of doing things when you trust in these sort of characters. As I said before, even other platform fighters have taken this to heart. Look at something like Seth, right? Who's very similar to Wei Shan, but has his own entire gimmick and combo route. Like, it is so different to how you play Seth to how you play Wei Shan that it's kind of crazy. Like, you really want to make sure that every single hit that you have with Seth is just immaculate. Meanwhile, if you play Wei Shan, it's more so that you are predicting people's like DIs more. You're making sure that you like that you know you feel out where they're going so that you can catch them. With Seth, that's not really the case. You're really more focused on like the precision and like how you hit people. And then you'll drift into it. It's completely different. So if we can have like Echo Fighters like portrayed in this good way when it comes to Rushdown Revolt, I seriously don't really see the reason why we can't do this for Rivals 2. Like, I believe Rivals 2 could potentially have Echo Fighters, and it wouldn't really be like bad if they did this. I actually think that they were kind of built for something like this in the future. It definitely wouldn't be at the start. I don't think that they would have a character that's so comparable to Zetaburn that it kind of hurts at the start. It's definitely like in like the middle of its cycle that you start like trying to do little boops and tweaks into something like that, into something new. But again, who knows? But that doesn't mean that they wouldn't do it. I think I have an idea of how it could possibly work. Now, I am not a genius. I'm not a game designer. But when you put your thinking cap in, you can definitely predict a few things. So, I believe that if we had Echo Fighters in Rivals 2, they would maybe have some different normals and like maybe a tweak in their gimmicks. I feel like if they wanted to not do a lot of work into doing it, it would be you would only do that thing rather than something else, because at that point you just make another character, you know? So, basically, you have a familiar gimmick with a different playstyle to how it works. So, let's use something like Zetterburn, for example, and let's say this potential character is Renburn, his departed father, for an example. Sorry, I just forgot Zetterburn is fatherless. That's kind of crazy. Okay. Let's be serious. Okay. Let's say that Renburn has the same function as Zetterburn, but instead of focusing on residual damage, he's gonna focus on more of a risk/reward system. So what do I mean by this? Okay, have the flame actually hurt Renburn himself, but here's the thing here: you actually give benefits different to how Zetterburn works. So okay, the flame would actually hurt Renburn, but you'd have more options. So maybe you can get super armor on your smash attacks while you're in the fire, but you yourself will take residual damage. Maybe the fire stays for longer, or maybe his shine gets a lot bigger than even the end of when you press B for Zetterburn, you know? Small changes like side B fire going into like an angle rather than a straight line, right? This is the type of design that would make a character, not a character, but they would make a person that likes Zetterburn but just has a few things that they don't like about him really just want to commit to something different and give them something new to play with. And this is not just for like Renburn. There is a lot of characters where you can really like put this philosophy towards you. Like I got 4 right now, let me just tell you. So Bradshaw, right? Very big, very big Eagle Man. So I would say if you really wanted him to make like a raster echo, you do something like maybe have a, rather than like the wind is sideways, maybe it's like vertical, and maybe it, or maybe not vertical, but like a spherical wind path that you can make kills like go in that circle especially well. So it's like your movement wouldn't be like so great that it goes outwards, but your movement and it's so good for combo game that it's like you don't really want to do that. So you're big, but you'll be able to do a lot more combos in the short time rather than the long way where it's like you got to make sure that the DI is correctly and in that, you know, there's stuff like that. Or I think her name Ayala, I think so. Let's say the Echo Fighter for her would be Ayala, right? And the steam could actually be like harder to get rid of. You know, it's not like a simple swipe of like your tail and you just get rid of the wind. Or maybe her bombs are like weaker in that sense. So it's like you trade off the bombs being weaker for you to like do damage, but you have more background and you have more space to play with your opponent. Maybe even now you can probably make like a shadow version of Arcane that was in Rivals 1. Maybe you can like expend water that like slows character down. So it's like the puddle is actually more like glue and kind of just like really makes it hard to like sift and like move when they go in it. So rather than the water being always for you, it would be like a thing that your opponent has to look forward to, which is a way different playstyle. Or maybe even like the cousin of Maple, I forgot her name, I'll put it up, but maybe her thing is not really to like entrap people into in order to do that, but maybe it's like she deals with more, the plant has like more knockback. Maybe it's like rather than it's just a thing that like stays there and you have to avoid it, like maybe it moves, maybe it goes on its 2 feet, I don't fucking know. But there are a lot of things that you can do for Rivals character when it comes to Echo Fighters. Again, you wouldn't be able to do this like at the start, I feel like there would be a lot of pushback if that was the case. But this is a very interesting concept, and I really do believe that they could do this down the line. It'd be a little bit of work. Maybe not a lot of things would actually happen, like the Bradshaw example. But again, it's something that can happen. So let's just see. The future is always bright, you know?